Hello and welcome to Voices of Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. Join us as we journey through all kinds of different people's stories of parenting, self-development, and just awakening into the beautiful people they are today. Every week, I try to bring somebody that I personally love and respect and think has something beautiful to offer to those of us who are on this very real and complicated journey of parenting and really just living. My hope is that you will find something to relate to and something that you can take with you as you continue on your own exquisite and beautiful, powerful, and purposeful journey as the person that you are in this world. My name is Mussi Diskin. I am an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer. I am a parenting coach. I am also an inner wealth coach, which means that I help people rediscover and connect to the people that they truly were all along, but may have gotten forgotten along the way. So to find out more about me and what I offer, you can check out mussidiskin.com, contact me through there, respond to this podcast, find me on social media. I would love to connect and I would love to hear your feedback. To sponsor a Voices of Parenting podcast episode, please reach out to energizinghearts@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Today, I have a returning guest, Chaya Wilhelm, who has been here before talking about emotional regulation. Go back and listen to her first podcast if you missed it. But today, she's back to share more on the topic, and I'm so excited because we're going to focus specifically on practical tips and strategies. So Chaya, give us a sentence about who you are and what you do, and then I can't wait to hear more tips and strategies for emotional regulation.
Okay, so my name is Chaya Wilhelm. I live in Coral Springs, Florida. I'm married. I have 6 kids, thank God. I am a middle school teacher. And through my parenting journey, I have been really kind of embracing and accepting and exploring this whole idea of self-regulation and really tuning into myself. So that's where I'm coming from. So we all have dreams and hopes and like what we feel like our parenting journey is going to look like. And I feel like in those dreams and hopes, we forget that there's actually human beings with emotions and feelings and their whole selves that are coming into this picture. So it's not just like what I hope for them. It's also they're bringing in their emotions and their dreams and their hopes and their excitement and their triggers and whatever is going on in their life. So as we go along, it's like they're doing something which I don't approve of, or they're doing something which, no, don't do that. Or I want to have more control over what's going on. And what happens is for myself, like I find myself coming into this, like, I don't want to be a policeman. I don't want to be a control freak. I don't want to be, and do I want them to actually be exactly like me? No, I want them to be their own being. So how do I kind of guide them and not be so tense inside and so controlling? And so, this is not what I thought parenting would look like. So I started exploring this idea of self-regulation because we're a lot of times our children are coming home from school or coming home from things, and there's a lot that's going on out of the house, that they're interacting with teachers and friends and different dynamics, and they come home with their whole load, and they have all these emotions and all these big things they need to talk about. There might be some crying, and there might be some it's not fair, and there might be some anger, all these kind of things that they're dealing with, and they might be very dysregulated at times. And then I'm coming home from my whole day of work and my interactions and my, experiences I did that day. And really, a dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. And where do children learn to be dysregulated? From adults that they encountered who were dysregulated. So really, it kind of made me realize that if I want to do anything in this parenting journey, it has to be changing myself and focusing on myself more than my kids. And that's really like changing that one step of changing myself. It filters out to my children and my house and my friends and my students and everybody else who I encounter. And part of that decision is really really believing in yourself and really like saying, like, I want to have empowerment in my life I want to be the driver of my life. I don't want to be the victim of what's happening around me, because a lot of things happen that are not in my control. And the only thing that is in my control is the way I react to it. So if I put all my focus into something that's in my control, which is the way I react to things, then I feel much more empowerment, because I'm not putting so much energy into things that I can't even control anyways. So why put my energy into things I can't control when I put all my energy into something that I could control, which makes me feel so much more empowered and energized. And also the knowledge that behind every behavior, there's a need. And it could be also my behavior. So if I am feeling dysregulated and I find myself screaming at my kids, hold on 1 minute, what's the need behind it? I forgot to eat lunch today, or I forgot to take a walk or be outside my house. I was in the house all day. I needed to go have some nature. So realizing that even for adults, every behavior that we do has a need behind it, and how much more so for our little kids in our life, like every behavior has that need behind it. And how can we pause and say that to ourselves when our kids are coming in all, with all their emotions, to take that pause and say, 1 minute, don't look at the behavior, look at the need. I need to be in that place to pause, because if I'm in a place where I'm already past my needs and into my flooded brain, then I'm not going to even notice that idea of 1 second pause because there's a need. I'm going to react with my behavior towards their behavior. And then you have all this dysregulated behavior just acting on, not going anywhere. So, and an example of this, which I actually heard from someone, which I was like, hey, that's an example that actually happened in my house. So, right. So your kids come home from school and you prepare this beautiful supper of chicken and rice, and they come in and say, chicken and rice, we wanted pizza. How come there's no pizza? And I was so in the mood of pizza, and I had such a long day. I'm so hungry because I didn't eat lunch. All I want is pizza. And it's so disgusting, your chicken and rice. Right. And they have all the big feelings, and they maybe said it very disrespectfully. And I come from my day, which I actually had a good day. And I might have had some things that maybe got me a little dysregulated, but I took the time before they came home from school to have a snack. And I took the time to breathe. And I took the time to take a little walk and just to pause. So when they come in, I'm like, 1 minute, there's a need here behind this behavior. What's the need? It could be simply they're so hungry, and they had in mind that they wanted something much better that they were more in the mood of to eat. So really addressing that need and reflecting it back to them in a very calm voice. And again, we can do that because we worked on our regulation. So when we reflect it back to them, it's like, wow, that's so disappointing. You're so hungry from a whole day of school, and you walked in thinking there's going to be pizza, and mommy made chicken and rice, and it's so hard because you were looking so in the mood of pizza. I really understand that. And that's so annoying to be in the mood of something and not have it. And then it really diffuses it because they feel heard. And it's not like you're going to start making pizza. No, you made dinner and they're going to, eat the dinner you made, but they feel heard. And then you can address the behavior. And then when they're calm, or maybe after they ate and they're already regulated, then you can say, a different way to say that you don't like supper is this and this. But on the other hand, if I did not take care of myself and I didn't come regulated, then I'm going to totally not see that need. Oh, they're hungry. But like, no, don't talk to mommy like that. I worked so hard on this dinner and I spent hours making it. And too bad if you didn't want chicken, you wanted pizza, So really, and which reaction makes you feel better afterwards? It's really the one that is coming from a place of logical empowerment, and not the one that's coming from a place, so I just reacted because of my own needs I didn't take care of. So how do we take care of our needs? Like some just really practical, and the most basic is really breathing, just focusing on that deep breath where the exhale is longer than the inhale, stopping in the middle of the day and just like, how am I breathing? Because a lot of us hold our breath. A lot of us breathe very shallow. And so just the breath is like an anchor inside of us. Like it's always there and it's always happening. It's not something we need to think about. So just really being conscious of that fact that I'm here, I'm breathing, I can take that deep breath. Writing down what we're grateful for is also very powerful, because sometimes when we're going through our day and then at the end of the day, it's like our brain automatically goes to like all the things that went wrong that day. But sitting down and writing, or even in the morning, starting off our day of what am I grateful for today? What puts us into like this mindset, this frame of mind where what you focus on, you get more of, right? So if I'm starting off my day being grateful for these things, I'm going to see it more. And if I know at the end of the day that I need to write down things I'm grateful for, I'll start looking for them during the day. So also having that in mind all day, because okay, I'm accountable to myself. Tonight, I need to write down 6 things I'm grateful for. So I'm going to look out for this. So other things is really like when I'm feeling maybe not, not present, I can just simply feel my feet on the ground. Like feel my feet inside my shoes. If I'm not wearing shoes, feel on the carpet, on the ground, on the grass. Just really just focus getting out of my head, maybe a little flooded, but getting into my body, and start with the feet where I can feel grounded is really helpful. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is very simple. Just where I am right now, I'm going to focus on 5 things that I see, 4 things that I can hear, 3 things that I can touch, 2 things that I can smell, 1 thing that I can taste. And if you don't remember that order, then just do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and remember the 5 senses, and just, it doesn't really matter which one matches to which number. And doing it in nature has a much greater effect, where you can notice things outside. In general, nature is very calming. So taking a walk outside versus on the treadmill inside, or, I mean, treadmill inside is also great if you could do that. But being in nature and getting out of the house, feeling the wind in your face, feeling what's going on, and that mindful walk also of like, I'm not going to talk on the phone when I take that walk. I'm going to be present, looking around, noticing what's happening, feeling myself really present in the moment. Another thing, if you have the time, a cold shower. Cold shower can like really like bring you back to the present, like wake you up. It kind of, I don't know if there's scientific backing behind it, but just having that kind of like really wake up is helpful too. And then what does it translate in? So I can say, okay, I'm going to wait until I feel dysregulated to do these ideas, right? But when we're already in the dysregulated state, then we're not in the mind to think about these ideas. And we don't really want to have to work so hard to regulate ourselves. So if I'm by a number 10 on dysregulation, I'm going to have to do more than just take a nature walk or breathe a little bit to get down to the 1 or 2 that I want to be. But if I'm at a level 3, then I might pause, take that walk, and stay back on a level 1 or 2. And how does that happen is really by pausing during the day to notice what's happening in my body. So if you need to put on a timer every hour, or if it's just like, okay, after breakfast or after lunch, like different markers that you have in your day, like pause. How does my body feel now? Is anything tense? Do I feel any tense in my chest? And that kind of gives me clues of, am I heading towards being extremely dysregulated in the end of the day? Because dysregulation doesn't just shoot up from a 1 to 10. I mean, unless there's a huge emergency, but over the course of a day, it kind of progresses slowly. And if we stop and notice, then we'll see those small little things our body's trying to tell us. And then we can pick something small to do right then and there to keep bringing it back. So really bringing that pause in. And I know a lot of us have crazy busy lives. Like, what am I going to do? When am I going to do this? So looking at it as small bites of time that are going to be beneficial in the long run. So really focusing on the breathing. I'm going to teach my body to breathe slower. And then your body automatically will start doing that. Once you practice a lot, it becomes habit also. And then once we're kind of like integrated some of these more easier kind of regulating things, then we can also start thinking a little more deeply of, what is causing me to get so dysregulated in this situation? What is triggering me when my child starts being disrespectful or acting out? And really feeling, what emotion am I feeling? Am I feeling anger? Am I feeling disappointment? Am I feeling upset? Am I feeling unworthy? Like, oh, what's happening in me? And sitting with that emotion and just like noticing it first of all, right? I am feeling triggered because of this and that. So I'm feeling triggered because I have all these hopes that my children are going to be just the most respectful people. And then my 10-year-old turns to me and says something disrespectful. Like, it might turn into, who am I as a mom? Like, I'm just a failure. I'm not worthy, or like, I couldn't even do this right. All these kind of things, you get so triggered. So pausing and saying, what's happening inside of me? Why do I feel this way? Noticing it, and then also accepting it. Like, okay, this is making me feel this way, and I'm going to sit with it, I'm going to accept it, and I don't need to act on it. So then once I'm aware of it, like I said, you have to name it to tame it, right? So once you're aware of something, then you can actually work on it. So now I'm aware that when my child speaks to me disrespectfully, it's causing me to think about how much I didn't want that to happen, or how much I feel like a failure as a mom, and now I can work on this. And the other way it really translates into the house is because our kids learn everything from what they see. So our reaction to how we're going to react to certain situations, they're learning from us. And I actually was telling this to one of my daughter's teachers, because she was telling me about my daughter and how she's such a cutie pie in school. And and she's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do with your kids? Like, do you ever have kids that are not like you? And what do you do if they're not like you? And your kids also behave so well at home. And I said, you know what? I don't do anything to them. I just do things to myself. Like, I just work on myself, like change. How am I reacting? Because everything that they're doing, they've learned from somewhere. And I don't want it to be me who taught them how to just give up or be upset or lash out or be angry when something doesn't go right. So, and kids are also, they're looking for our reaction. So if they're doing something that's going to, if they're doing something that might trigger a big reaction from me, and I don't give that big reaction, then they're not going to, most probably not going to go there again. And this is like a very connected to what Nurtured Heart like basis is, like focusing on what you want more of and giving a lot of focus and reaction to the things that are going right, which does not come easily to me. I mean, I don't know if it comes easily to anybody else, but it's very, very hard to do. And especially if we're in that flooded place, it's almost impossible to do. So if we want to adopt that mindset of always saying things aren't going right, then starting with that regulation is like the building block towards doing that. So we're in this place where we might be a little dysregulated. Our child might be starting to be dysregulated. We can also co-regulate together. So it doesn't have to be like, if I didn't have a chance to regulate before and my child comes home and is, telling me this whole thing, and I can say, you know what, let's take 10 deep breaths together. Or let's, take a walk in nature together. So that has two things. One thing is I'm not abandoning my child to all of a sudden go and regulate myself. And also they're learning what to do if they need to regulate, so that hopefully once you adopt this in your house and you talk about it and you're showing them and you're doing it with them, then they can also do it on their own. So when they get older, or when they're not with you, or at a time when you maybe cannot be totally present because you're dealing with other kids or other things, and you can say, you know what, remember that skill we learned? They already have it in their mind. Another thing is sometimes we're so, okay, so I'll give you an example. So I was doing bedtime one night, and sometimes you really want to do like a do-over. Like, can everyone just come out of bed again so we could do bedtime again, so we could do it right this time, but everyone's already in bed, so you don't really want to get everyone out to do it right. So, and I was like, you know what, I just need a break. I need to stop because I'm getting dysregulated and I can't really change the situation and start over, but is there something else I can do? So really getting into what can I do? And it happened to me, my husband was home. So I told him, you're going to take over bedtime, because he's coming from a fresh point of view where he wasn't there the whole time, and he's a little more regulated than I am. And he took over bedtime, and I went to take a shower. If I go take a shower, that regulates me, and I also don't hear what's going on because the shower water's on. And when I came back, they were all sleeping because they really fed on that dysregulation. So why were they not falling asleep? Because I was getting frustrated. I was like, maybe reacting and like telling them things like, get back into bed, or like, so how many times do I need to tell you that it's so late? And when they had like a fresh start, a fresh person who really was more even, then they listened, because they really feed off our energy. They're really, really feeding off our energy. So the energy that we give off, that's what they work on. And so I wanted to say was, when we stop and we notice what's triggering us and what's going on with us and accepting it, we also notice that a lot of times we get into our mind and we create stories around what actually happened. Like, the fact is, my daughter was disrespectful to me. The story I created is, what kind of mom am I that my daughter is disrespectful to me, and what's going to happen and what's going to be tomorrow, and now we're going to go downhill, and how am I going to teach her, and all these kind of scenarios and these thoughts and these stories that actually didn't happen or might not happen, because I'm not in the present moment anymore. I'm away from the facts, and I've gone into that whole mind flooded anxiety and what's going to happen. And it's really about not getting, like, things are going to happen to us. Things are going to happen that's out of our control, and they might be painful and they might be really hard to go through. But when we go into that part of like adding on our story, we're adding a lot of suffering to that. So we're getting away from the fact, okay, my daughter was disrespectful. Be in the present moment. I might need to regulate. I might need to co-regulate. I may need to take a break. I may need to teach her how to regulate. Just staying in that moment. And when that moment's over, then I'm back in the next present moment. But if I'm out of the present moment, I'm in the future of what's going to happen or what happened, then when that moment's over, I'm gone because I'm already in the future, not looking at the next present moment. So really, if you want to appreciate every moment and live in every moment, is just looking at what are the facts happening now. And I'm not going to go into what's going to happen tomorrow or what happened yesterday because I don't know. It's not in my control. So things can change in a second and my daughter can, So, and that's also very hard to work on. So I also want to just recognize that all of this does not happen overnight. It happens in a lifetime. And I think it happens every day. We take these little baby steps, really small steps towards being that regulated person I want to be. And then we're also going to have some backward steps because things are going to happen that are going to throw us off. And things are going to happen that are going to be, no matter how well planned I was, I also need to be flexible that I might be very busy some days and my kids are homesick, and I didn't have a chance to take care of myself and do all these things I usually do. And just being aware of that. And that's going back to the noticing and accepting. Okay, today might be a little bit of a more dysregulated day. And that's it. That's the present. There's no like, I'm a bad mom. And there's no like, my kids are going to be scarred. And there's no like, no, this is just the fact that my kids are homesick. I don't have this opportunity today. When they're back in school, I'll get back into the regulation, and just being so accepting and self-compassionate to ourselves. And when we make a mistake, it doesn't step us back that we didn't do anything ever. It just steps us back in this present moment. I might not feel so regulated, but I'll get right back on.
Wow. Yeah. And I love the simplicity of those little strategies you gave in the beginning of all the different ways to regulate, which all of those, that's what they do. They just bring me back to the present moment. They're not about how to fix what just happened. They're not about why it happened. They're all about bringing me back to this moment in time, this body, this space, this, surroundings, so that I could then do that, so that I could then be in that space. And something that really jumped out at me that you said, there's a few things. Well, one thing that I'll reflect on is that idea of the co-regulation. This is an epiphany for me that I just heard from what you said that never really struck me quite this way, that the co-regulation is where I need to regulate and they need to regulate. So I'm going to regulate here with them. That's the co, right? I'm going to regulate here with them so that I can regulate, and by me regulating, help them regulate. Versus they're dysregulated. They need my help regulating. So regardless of whether or not I'm regulated, I need to be here with them, and I need to make sure they're okay, and I need to regulate them, which is really just more chaotic energy that will actually dysregulate them further. But to bring the co-regulation piece back to the focus you started with of actually it's all about me and what can I do in the situation and controlling myself, is that I'm going to regulate right here where I am with you. And in doing that out loud, like, okay, I have this VOO sound. I'll just add my own little piece that I got from Sarah Baldwin with the polyvagal somatic healing world. It's this very, very low, actually, I think she says she got it from Peter Levine. It's very, very low, deep, like the deepest you can make your voice, like down, sound. Then you just make it until you have no more air, and you do it 3 times. Take a deep breath, and then you do this. I love it. Resets me every time. It gets your vagus nerve.
Yeah, I've tried that also. Yeah,
it's super cool. Anyway, to do that, to say, "Ooh, I'm feeling dysregulated. I feel like I'm all over the place. I want to bring myself back to the ground. I'm going to do my VOO sounds." I'm saying this openly to my kid. I'm opening the door for them to join me. That's the co. But the emphasis is still on me regulating myself, just with them. And that's so powerful because then I'm giving them the gift of a regulated parent. I'm not coercing or managing or manipulating them into being a regulated kid again. And so that spin or that focus on co-regulation just speaks to me so much. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried it even during a temper tantrum. Our first thing you see during a temper tantrum is run. Like, I can't hear this shouting, I can't hear this screaming, or tell your child, like, stop doing it. But if you notice that they have just big emotions right now and they're dysregulated, so I don't have to run. I could just sit right here and say, I'm going to take, and just talk about what I'm going to do right now, and hopefully they'll hear. And it does work, because when they don't see you getting caught up in their emotions, then your calm kind of brings on their calm.
Yeah. And also we, like, the parents, the adult, the mothers, whatever, like, we're like this like center, this nucleus of the home, and everything's attracted and surrounds us, whether we like it or not. And if we shift, like, they're always looking, like, where are we? And they come back to us. And so they have to. It's like when we're just turning inwards, they're like, where are you? They want to come find us. So they come to that inward grounded space. I once did a reset where there was a lot going on around me, but not to me. I wasn't actually involved, and no one had called me to it either. It wasn't a tantrum against me. I don't even remember. Maybe the kids were fighting or whatever. But I just felt like I needed some resetting. So I just closed my eyes and started breathing. And it was so funny when I opened my eyes were closed. When I opened my eyes, my kids were sitting on the floor right in front of me, and they were just waiting. And I was like, hi, guys. Like, where'd you come from? It was the most fascinating moment, the most miraculous moment. Anyway, this has been so valuable. Thank you, Chaya. We are out of time. Thank you so much for these incredible, useful, practical tips and also perspective. If anybody would like to reach out to you, connect, how can they do that, and what could they expect?
Okay. First of all, I did forget to mention that, Mussi, you're the one who actually brought me into Nurtured Heart, and Nurtured Heart kind of reinforced the idea that I need to regulate in order to reset my children and see them as the beautiful gems that they are. So thank you for that. My email is whatsgoingright@gmail.com, and I'm always open to comments, suggestions. I'm happy to talk, to discuss, to share. So you can reach out to that email address.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll put the email address in the description below. And thank you for being here. Hey, wait, don't go yet. Take a minute to find the beautiful quality that you have, that you appreciate about yourself.